Today, 343 came out and expanded upon the multiplayer trailer that we got yesterday. And while we didn't get raw gameplay like I would have wished, the 12 or so minutes that 343 gave us, answering a lot of questions, expanding on a lot of things, was pretty useful. And so today, what we're going to do is just break it down and kind of give my opinions on all the different stuff, along with giving you my opinions on things that we saw specifically in the gameplay and they didn't talk about. So yeah, let's just hop right in. So it opens up with Joe Staten kind of talking about what he thinks Halo multiplayer is. On the arena side, it's tight arena style gameplay. On the BTB side, it's wide open vehicle combat, and I would say that you definitely see that in the gameplay, and I would say that's a good way to sum up Halo multiplayer like really quickly. Joe also talks about how they're taking classic legacy Halo and they're modernizing it. This is something that people have talked about for a long time, and if 343 is actually able to do this is going to be insane, because this has been the dream. Now, once we actually play the game, does it actually modernize classic legacy Halo, or is it more of the modern Halo just kind of revamped a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. From the gameplay, I would lean toward the later, where it's kind of revamped modern Halo, but without actually playing it myself, I don't want to put my final word on which it is. But regardless, like I said yesterday, I think the gameplay looks really fun. The game is also going to evolve month to month, season to season, year to year, which is really cool to hear, because that's what multiplayer games do these days. They're constantly adding in new things, they're constantly shaking up what's going on, shaking up the meta, and so I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play Halo Infinite over the next X amount of years and see how it develops and see what kind of cool things come out over time. I just thought this was kind of funny, but as they were talking, they said legacy a ton. Like, not just Joe Staten, but some of the other people that were in the interview, they constantly said it, you know? And so I don't know if it was just supposed to be a talking point they were hitting, or if they really feel that Infinite respects legacy Halo and is a evolution of legacy Halo. They talk about how the Sandbox is Halo. The Sandbox is what makes Halo multiplayer so unique compared to other multiplayer games, and one thing that they really go into is equipment. They want equipment to have a bigger role than ever before, and they actually want it to be powerful. They want there to be an option where you think, should I go for this power weapon like the rocket launcher, or do I want the grapple shot so that I can swing around the back and cap an objective? In that section, they mentioned capping a stronghold. So Strongholds is back, which was a game mode from Halo 5. I thought Strongholds was actually pretty good, but I think some people disliked it. We saw some footage there of the drop wall. You can actually walk right through the drop wall, so it functions more like a bubble shield or something rather than the deployable cover that you saw from like Halo 3, where it actually was an obstacle in your way. However, obviously, as we have seen, you can shoot if you're on the back side of the drop shield, while if you're on the other side, you just shoot at the wall and you have to break little portions off of it if you want to be able to shoot through it. It'll be really interesting to see how much damage it really takes to break out those little squares of the drop wall, because that's really going to depend how strong the drop wall is. During some of the background footage, we also saw the hammer some more, and I think the hammer actually looks really meaty and weighty, whereas yesterday, the little clip we saw, I thought it was a little bit underwhelming, but seeing the guy use it in first person and the clip where he grapple shots someone and hammers them, looks like the hammer is going to be a ton of fun to use, and the grapple is also going to be a ton of fun to use. I do know already though that I'm going to get upset when I die to someone swinging around and they grapple shot me or they snipe me out of the air, but on the flip side, it's going to be a ton of fun doing that to other people. We also saw a lot of clips of the Bulldog, and I will say it looks really underwhelming and really aggravating. It looks super easy to use, it's semi-automatic, you can just fire out shots, and it looks like it kills people really easily. So I think the Bulldog is going to be pretty annoying, especially in arena. I hope that I'm wrong here and the Bulldog isn't just extremely overpowered, because in multiplayer games, if shotguns are too strong, it kind of ruins the whole balance of the game. But obviously, I'll wait and see here. I'll wait and play it myself. This is just kind of what I saw from the little clips that we're seeing, because we're not even getting full gameplay footage. The classic power-ups are also back, overshield and camo. However, there is a big change in how they work. Now you can pick up the overshield and the camo, and it puts them into your inventory, and you can use them whenever you want. However, if you die before using them, you now drop them and your opponents can pick them up. This is going to be a huge change, and I think it's going to have a lot of ramifications on competitive play, and I'm really interested to see how it plays out. I don't know how this is going to work with timers. I assume it's going to have to be the timer off of when you pick it up, but it's going to be really weird because now you won't know if someone has overshield until they just pop it on you mid-fight or something like that, whereas before you kind of would know the overshield is up, you know, the enemy team probably got it because they had map control based on the time and the position of the game, whereas now they could have picked it up 2 minutes ago and just not died and decide to pop it and then pop out and kill you in a gunfight that you thought would be an equal gunfight. So this is going to give the player more control of how they use the power-ups, but I think it could muddy up kind of the flow of the game. But obviously, you know, caveat, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. We also saw the effect of the overshield, and holy crap, it looks terrible. So I don't know if that'll change, but I just think it's pretty funny. You're just like a yellow blob. They also talk about vehicles a bit more, and they expanded upon how vehicles can now take damage in different sections of the vehicle. So for example, you can have the wheel fall off of a Warthog, and it completely changes how the Warthog will handle. Vehicles also have like a GTA style fire mechanic where as they're getting close to blowing up, they'll be on fire, and the player can kind of choose during those moments, do they want to stick it out and keep fighting until the vehicle blows up, or do they want to hop out and kind of abandon the vehicle ahead of time. They also talk about the Razorback a bit more, and the Razorback has a cool little storage area on the back where you can store things like weapons, fusion coils, detached turrets, all sorts of cool things. I think this will be pretty fun for probably more for campaign, as I see that's where it's probably going to be used, but maybe in multiplayer this will become a huge thing where you'll stick things on that storage section and you'll kind of go push with your teammates. In BTB, vehicles don't just spawn in bases anymore or at certain sections of the map. BTB is going to have pelicans that drop vehicles throughout the game, and there's also drop pods that drop weapons throughout the game. It really does seem kind of chaotic, and they described it as a beautiful slice of chaos, but to me, the BTB in Infinite seems very Halo 4 inspired. Kind of reminds me a lot of the ordinances and everything like that, but luckily, this time, this style of gameplay will stay in BTB, and it won't bleed into the normal arena gameplay, so I think this could be okay, because Halo 4 BTB is actually a lot of fun. It was just the 4v4 Halo 4 that really let me down. They talked about the personal AI more. Honestly, I don't know why there was a huge section, because it just sounds like to me you're picking different multiplayer announcers, but maybe there's more customizability to it and there's more to it. They also went more into all the customization options, and so you're going to be able to customize knee pads, shoulder pads, all the different armor coatings and weapon coatings and everything like that. So you are really going to be able to make your Spartan your Spartan. If I'm looking at this correct though, you can only have one armor coating for your whole Spartan. You can't put an armor coating per piece, so I think that's kind of a bummer, as it is going to limit some of the options that you have. You can also choose your Spartan's voice, body type, and you can add prosthetics, which they made a big deal about it being the first time you can ever do that, but unless I'm totally wrong and I'm just confused, in Reach you could use Cat's arm, which was a prosthetic arm. Unless I'm totally wrong there, I don't know why they made a big deal about that, but maybe they just mean like more as like a general principle, like now you can use a prosthetic arm or a prosthetic leg. It's not necessarily Cats. You can now customize your Spartan either in-game through the Halo Waypoint website or through the app, which will be kind of cool. And then they really drove home that there's not going to be loot boxes. The battle pass, once you unlock it, is yours forever. So it's going to work a lot like MCC if you've been playing that, where it never expires and you can always go back and unlock things in previous battle passes. I think this is really cool because it's actually one of the few features of MCC's battle pass I think a lot of people like. They also talk about how if there's a piece of armor or a coating in the battle pass that you like, you do have to unlock it through the battle pass. There will not be ways to circumvent this by buying it directly or anything like that. So things that you earn out of the battle pass will be exclusive to the battle pass. Seasons are also going to have themes, which will be really cool to see some of the cool themed battle passes we get and themed seasons we get. They showed us the samurai armor again, which yesterday I thought was a new version of the Hayabusa armor, but in the video they just called it the samurai, so this must be a different armor set. But regardless, I think it's really cool, and it's going to be one of the first armor sets that we're able to unlock for free during one of the early seasons. Joe Staten mentioned, you know, this is going to be the biggest audience that they've ever had because of free to play. There's no longer a barrier to entry, and this is going to be huge for Halo. They also talked a little bit more about the academy. You know, you can use it to onboard into multiplayer if you're new. You can use it to warm up or learn how to play the game depending on what you're going for. There's weapon drills. You can practice with different equipment. So if you want to get really good at using the grapple shot, you know, you can go into the academy and practice all different scenarios. Maybe throw some bots out to practice your grapple sniping, where you grapple up into the air and then you snipe them. So I think the academy is going to be really, really cool, and a tool for even the higher level players to really hone in on skills and plays that they want to be able to make in game on a consistent basis. I think the academy is going to raise the level of Halo gameplay to a whole new level that we haven't seen before. Obviously, there's still the bots, and they provide a ton of opportunities like we talked about yesterday. They're going to be sweet for training and warming up and practicing different things, but they're also in custom games, and I won't go into this too much, but that's going to be huge because you're going to be able to make those pseudo PvE encounters that I talked about yesterday. One thing I did notice during the footage is Clamber's back. I think we already knew that, but I don't remember seeing it yesterday in the trailer, so I thought I would just bring that up. 343 also goes on to talk about how the community is really important to them. They want this game to be there for the community so that they can listen to the community. We're gonna have features like Forge and Theater. Those were both confirmed, although I guess we already knew Forge was coming, but the confirmation of Theater to me is big. Hopefully it's campaign and multiplayer Theater, and I can't wait to see what kind of features they've added into Theater, because there really could be the opportunity to make some really cool content if this Theater mode has the features. One thing that comes to mind to me is in Halo 3, a community member whose name escapes my mind right now, so someone can comment it below if you know, but they made a dolly for Halo 3's theater system, which is really cool if you're trying to make really cinematic shots or you're trying to make a cool shot for your montage. And so if some of these features were just built into the theater mode, I think that would be awesome. One other thing that I noticed during the gameplay is ADS is definitely back, and it's not just precision weapons, as during the footage you can see it being used on an assault rifle, and we didn't see enough of it. I want to see, is there descope and how much does it affect accuracy, because those things really matter to me. In Halo 5 we had ADS on basically every gun, and there was mixed opinions on that, I think, so it'll be interesting to see more info on this and see exactly how it's going to work before I can really give my opinion on it. And lastly, they just kind of closed it out, you know. Halo Infinite's going to have new maps, new modes, and new ways to customize your Spartan, and it's going to be a totally new experience, obviously. But yeah, that pretty much covers the multiplayer overview that we were given today. I was a bit bummed when I opened it up and it wasn't just a multiplayer match that we could watch and maybe listen to the developers talk while we watch the footage, but we did learn a lot of things today, and the clips that they included were a little bit more toned down today, so it wasn't just the super high octane action that we got in yesterday's trailer. You probably saw a bit more today of, you know, your standard Infinite multiplayer match. I am really curious how BTB is going to turn out. It does seem like it's going to be honestly crazy. I think there's going to be vehicles everywhere, power weapons everywhere, and it's going to be a chaotic experience. I do really think that BTB is going to be the draw for non-hardcore Halo players, so it's really important that they do BTB right. This is going to probably be the mode that most people are going to check out, so hopefully it's really fun. Other than that, I am really interested to see, you know, how the arena style gameplay is going to turn out, but it's so hard to tell when we're just seeing little snippets of gameplay. So personally, I'm going to try and wait until we see more to really give my full-fledged opinion, and honestly, probably until I play it myself, because that's when you'll really be able to tell. But for now, I think Infinite looks good. There's a lot of questions still, and hopefully in the coming days and weeks we get answers to those questions, but overall I think the game looks good. That's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you know what to do. If you want to catch me stream things live, follow me over on Twitch. I stream Halo Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can also follow me over on Twitter or Instagram, and with that said, see you all next time.